guys, Lemmy here and welcome back to another video. I hope in today's video to get a lot of participation in the comments section because after all, I only have my perspective on this and I would love to know if you've noticed these things as well or if you've had completely different experiences. Today I'm going to talk about being the art friend in a group of friends. And for this video specifically, I'm going to be talking about this from the perspective of an artist and how your friends may see you or your hobby. Before we get too far into the video, I'm just going to take this time to warn you that there's going to be some pretty negative stuff within the video that kind of shaped how I see this topic. So I'll go into the stories later on, but it's just a warning that growing up I had some pretty crummy friends, and from other videos on my channel I might have mentioned them here or there, but I mean we'll kind of get to that later on. My hope in making this video was to create an environment where people can talk about their own experiences, and maybe this video will also help you in some sort of way, but I'm really not psyched to talk about this stuff, but it's kind of a big thing that happened to me in the day and I figured it may help to warn others. So this is kind of my disclaimer, and we'll get back on topic now. So over the 4 years, I've noticed 4 different types of friends, and these can be people that you met in school, at work, online, acquaintances, or like anything, really. But when people find out that I'm an artist, I see these 4 stereotypes pop up. First one is total indifference. This is the type of friend that doesn't care that you do art. So essentially, you can sit there and draw, and they'll never ask to see what you're doing, or really ask anything of you ever. They realize that drawing is your thing, and it's just something that you do, and they don't have a particular interest in it themselves. Their own interests lay elsewhere. So this type of friendship is the type that I have with my own best friend, and I find it to be very refreshing, because it's nice to have someone enjoy spending time with you because they like your personality and not what you can make or what you can make for them. Second type of friendship is the overly supportive friend. And I have never had a friend like this, but I've definitely seen other people have friendships like this. And this sort of friend absolutely adores your artwork and will dote on you. Always wondering what you're making, what you're up to, what you're doing. They also love your art so much that they'll pay you to draw pictures for them. And while this is normal, what is not normal about this friendship is that this type of friend will usually pay way more for a commission than what you would usually sell a piece for. The third type of friendship is an extremely rare one. So rare that I've never seen it in person, but only been able to really find friends like this online. And this sort of friendship is one that is struck up on a common interest. So basically, this friend is also an artist, maybe not with the same specialization, but the same sort of hobby. And you can rely on them to help you grow artistically, but they rely on you as well. So this sort of friendship plays upon itself and both ends will do better for it. Basically, it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship. I always wanted a friend like this when I was growing up, but it was super difficult to find someone who shared my interests. And now that I really think about it, I was also really super into video games in grade school and college, and finding another person who liked video games was just as difficult. I mean, unless it was a boy, and then it would always get weird, because then they would start like developing weird feelings and stuff. And it's kind of one of those things where a guy will look at a girl and they think that they must be their true love, like the love of their life, because they share a hobby, which is just like obviously not true at all. But I always wanted an art friend, and I always wanted like a video game friend, like someone who would just be player 2 or like hang out and talk about things that I liked. I could never find this friend. So like friendship type number 3 is like a unicorn. Like I just never found it, and I always wanted a friend like this. And finally, the last friendship type is super awful and terrible. This type is the user type of friend, and they will always ask you for something art related, but for some reason they feel that they shouldn't have to pay you for your time or your work. And sadly, growing up, most of my friends were like this. They always wanted something for free, and many times I did oblige. I never really thought to ask for money, as I guess I was pretty generous with my art, but it's one of those things that I think, like, if you give a mouse a cookie, he'll want a glass of milk, right? Anyway, it turns out that most of my friends wanted free things from me, so I have quite a few interesting stories to tell about these kinds of friends, and actually some advice. I'm going to break this section down into 2 sections, like subsections or whatever, friends and acquaintances. So we'll first start off with the high school friends. When I got older, I began taking on commission work in addition to my part-time job in school. And my friends knew I sold my art online, but they would still ask me to do things for free. Eventually, I told them no, and that if they wanted a commission, they would have to pay for it. However, I would give them an extremely heavy discount, which sometimes even exceeded 60% off. And it was really strange though, because these friends, all they had to do was look at me. And it was that look where they didn't have to say anything, but you knew what they were thinking. So they were thinking, it's not worth it. And at another point in time, I was asked for an extremely complicated commission that had over 5 characters in it, and it was for that old type of YouTube layout where they took up the whole page, and he kind of just wanted this entire like gaming layout with all these different characters and stuff, and he wanted them drawn. It wasn't like a Photoshop sort of deal. And I gave a large discount to this kid, and the look he gave me was like total disbelief. I mean, I think that he thought I was purposely overcharging him. And I had to show him my online information and prove to him that what my prices actually were, and he still didn't believe me. I mean, and this was after 60% off. So long story short, don't ever give your friends discounts. If they're trying to undercut you and guilt you into doing some work for them, it's not worth your time or your energy. And I'm not strictly talking about the commission either. I'm talking about the friendship altogether. Someone who treats you in that manner obviously doesn't value you or your time. But yeah, I'm no longer friends with these types of people any longer, but I feel like I should take the time to warn my younger viewers about this sort of thing. It's one thing to do something because you want to, but if someone's guilting you into doing something, just say no. So that was actually the easier part to talk about, because now we're getting on to part 2. And I have some weird stories about the user type of friend that doesn't actually involve my friends, but rather acquaintances. And at this point, you might be wondering why I would even fathom doing artwork for free for someone I don't really know, right? You know, just say no, who cares? Well, in this story, the acquaintances that wanted free art were friends of the boyfriend that I had at the time. And now I've done quite a bit of dating over the years at this point, and this is unfortunately an extremely common occurrence. Like, you meet a boyfriend's friends or family, and you want to make a good impression, right? They hear you're an artist, and they automatically will ask me for something for free. And if it's a family member or a really close friend, I feel super obligated to say yes so that they'll like me. And it's not a selfish sort of like, oh man, I really want them to like me, but rather, I don't want to start trouble or having them think I'm a terrible person to say no. So that, or them talking to my boyfriend about me or trying to convince him that I'm the worst person ever. So over the years, I've had to do art for people I didn't really feel I had a choice. I didn't know them, I didn't like them, but I felt like I had to do this for them. And there was even a point when someone asked me to do so much artwork that I told them that they'd have to pay me, and I gave them the steep discount. And the best part about this story is I handed him the picture and he didn't have enough money to pay for it, even after the steep discount. And then he played the "I'm poor" card, and I had to accept whatever money he had on hand, which was just a fraction of what he was supposed to give me. Like, these type of people are just the worst. At another point in time, I did tell an acquaintance no, and my boyfriend at that time had a talk with me about how I should be nicer to his loved ones. You know, all in all, the moral of this story is that you should feel absolutely no obligation to make anyone happy. Like, just don't do it. You don't have to be rude about it. You can say something like you're just super busy and just give a BS excuse about how you can't do it. I mean, you don't have to be mean, but don't put yourself in a situation where you end up having to do it. And if your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your significant other has any issue with this whatsoever, then they're not the right person for you. You date a bunch of people until you find the person that you're meant to spend the rest of your life with, right? If you start doing work for all these friends of a loved one, you'll be doing free art all the time for like a large chunk of your life. I mean, if I could go back in time, I wish I handled these situations totally differently. I mean, when I really think about it, it's super disrespectful to beg someone to do something and guilt them, make them feel so guilty that they have to do something for you like this. I mean, you don't even know that person. So to kind of use that other person, like the boyfriend or the person in common, as a bargaining chip, it's super wrong. And the boyfriend themselves, like, damn, you should respect who you're with enough to tell them, like, no, you shouldn't ask that of who I'm with, or you shouldn't do that, or that's disrespectful. I mean, there's so many different ways it should have went down, but for every boyfriend that I had, it was either they wanted free art for themselves, or free art for a family member, or free art for their friends, and none of them, even the person that I'm married to, none of them really said, like, no, you don't have to do that, like, don't do that. Well, actually I lied. The guy that I ended up with did say, like, you didn't have to do that, but it wasn't like he put his friend in place saying, no, you shouldn't ask who I'm with to do that. You know, it's weird. Like, this whole acquaintance thing and friend of a loved one thing is just the worst situation ever. I hate it, and, like, it really blows my mind how common it was when I was dating new people that this happened. Like, it's just, I don't know. But that's pretty much it for this video, and I feel like so bad about it. I mean, it took a really bad turn for the worst when it got to the user type of friendship, but, like, seriously, there are so many people out there like that. And I don't know if it's because I live in New York and friends here are just a certain kind of bad, or maybe I attract not so nice people, like a not so nice people magnet. Like, I don't know if you guys have any experiences like that, or if you have any of, like, super great friendships. Like, please let me know which of the 4 types of friendships the majority of your friends fall into. Like, and I love stories, so if you have any sort of weird story involving today's topic or your personal friendships, I'd absolutely love to hear it. I mean, I really believe what makes these videos special is getting to know my viewers through the comments section and having so many different opinions and experiences shared in one spot. So please, 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 if you ever have a user type of friend, don't let yourself get stepped on. I mean, it's really easy to let so many people overextend themselves to the point where you get trampled on. And from one person who has been stepped on a lot to another, I really don't want that to happen to you. Oh, and have you ever found the elusive artsy friend in a person? Because I've never had a friend like that. Like, have you ever found the super rare unicorn Bigfoot friend that also likes art? I've only been ever able to find that type of friend online, but like seriously, maybe it's just New York and I don't know. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna get going. Like, it got super negative and I'm super sorry about that, but I love you guys very much and I'll talk to you again all real soon, so take care. Bye.